Hello and welcome to this edition of News Today. Without delay, let's have a look at the headlines first. ISRO's 101st mission fails as PSLV rocket suffers malfunction. Supreme Court strikes down retrospective environmental clearances. Study reveals that 99.999% of Earth's deep sea floor is yet to be explored. India makes significant pledges at UN Peacekeeping Ministerial in Berlin. Access to obesity management not available to most Indian parents according to the World Heart Report. Microsoft announces to lay off about 6,000 employees. In a rare setback, ISRO's 101st mission fails as PSLV rocket suffers malfunction. ISRO's 63rd PSLV mission, PSLV C61 EOS-09, failed due to a technical malfunction during the third stage of the rocket. Since its inception, the Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle has encountered only two prior failures, its maiden flight in 1993 and another in 2017, making this the third such incident in its otherwise reliable history. Let's look at the mission in detail. PSLV C61 was meant to carry the Earth Observation Satellite 09 or EOS-09 into a Sun-Synchronous Polar Orbit or SSPO. It was launched from the first launch pad at Satish Dhawan Space Center in Sriharikota. EOS-09 is an advanced Earth observation satellite equipped with C-band synthetic aperture radar or SAR technology. The objective is to provide continuous and reliable remote sensing data for operational applications across various sectors. The satellite can capture high-resolution images of the Earth's surface in any weather, day or night. Now turning to PSLV, it was developed by ISRO and is India's third-generation launch vehicle. It is a four-stage vehicle and first Indian launch vehicle to be equipped with liquid stages. Since its first successful launch in October 1994, it has earned the title, the workhorse of ISRO, for its consistent performance. This four-stage launch vehicle has successfully deployed satellites into LEO, geosynchronous and geostationary orbits like satellites from the IRNSS constellation. It has also successfully launched major missions like Chandrayaan-1 in 2008 and Mars Orbiter spacecraft in 2013.
In a landmark judgment, the Supreme Court has struck down the practice of granting retrospective environmental clearances for projects, making it clear that such actions are illegal and unconstitutional. This decision came in the case of Van Shakti versus Union of India 2025. The Supreme Court has restrained the centre from issuing ex post facto environmental clearances to mining projects or regularizing actions that violate the Environmental Impact Assessment or EIA notification of 2006. Now, what does this mean? According to the EIA notification of 2006, any developmental project must receive prior environmental clearance before its commencement. This clearance is mandatory and is a safeguard to ensure that the potential environmental impacts of a project are carefully assessed before it begins. However, in this case, the court found that the centre, through the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change or MOEFCC, was granting environmental clearances retrospectively, that is, after the project had already started. The Supreme Court declared such clearances illegal, arbitrary and violative of two fundamental rights guaranteed by the Indian Constitution, Article 14, which ensures equality before the law, and Article 21, which protects the right to life and personal liberty. This is not the first time the Supreme Court has taken a stand on retrospective environmental clearances. In the 2017 case of Common Cause versus Union of India and others, the Supreme Court had clearly stated that the concept of ex post facto or retrospective environmental clearance is entirely alien to environmental jurisprudence. Now, let's quickly understand the EIA notification of 2006, which is at the heart of this issue. It was designed to ensure that developmental projects are assessed for their environmental impacts before they receive approval. Projects under this notification are categorized into two types. Category A project, which require approval at the national level. Here, the environmental clearance is provided by the central government's Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, based on the recommendations of an expert appraisal committee or EAC. and Category B projects, which require approval at the state level, where the clearance is granted by the State or Union Territory Environment Impact Assessment Authority or SEIAA, with the decision based on recommendations from a State or UT level Expert Appraisal Committee or SEAC. To further understand the concept of environmental impact assessment, imagine it as the point where three crucial fields intersect: earth sciences, covering climate, air, water, soils, and geology; life sciences, encompassing terrestrial ecology and aquatic ecology; and social sciences, including cultural heritage, humans, and landscapes. With this judgment, the Supreme Court has once again emphasized that environmental protection cannot be compromised and that the legal process for environmental clearances must be followed strictly.
Moving on, a recent study highlights that 99.999% of Earth's deep sea floor remains unexplored, and 97% of recorded deep sea dives have been performed by only 5 countries: the US, Japan, New Zealand, France, and Germany. In terms of observation means, exploration is primarily carried out through visual imaging from manned submersibles, remotely operated vehicles or ROVs, autonomous underwater vehicles or AUVs, and tow cameras tethered to ships. However, geomorphological features like ridges and canyons have seen a disproportionate amount of exploration compared to abyssal plains, which actually dominate the seafloor. But what exactly is deep ocean? It is generally defined as the sea and seabed below the depth at which light starts to decrease rapidly, typically around 200 meters, where the twilight zone begins. The conditions of the deep ocean include extreme cold, with an average temperature of only 4 degrees Celsius, and extreme pressure ranging from 40 to over 110 times the pressure of Earth's atmosphere. In terms of biodiversity, organisms like squid, krill, jellies, and fish are superabundant in the mesopelagic zone, 200 meters to 1,000 meters, accounting for about 90% of the world's fish by weight. Furthermore, hydrothermal vents, which are openings in the Earth's crust on the ocean floor, release geothermally heated mineral-rich water, which is utilized by microorganisms to provide energy and nutrients through chemosynthesis. The significance of deep ocean exploration lies in its potential as a source of energy, such as oil, gas, methane hydrate, and ocean currents, a promising reservoir for new antibiotic and anti-cancer drugs, the presence of polymetallic nodules, and its role in understanding, predicting, and mitigating climate change. Now, the ocean can be divided into distinct depth zones, each with its own physical characteristics and ecological features. The epipelagic zone, also known as the sunlight zone, extends from the surface to around 200 meters deep and receives enough sunlight to support photosynthesis. Below it lies the mesopelagic zone or twilight zone, ranging from 200 to 1,000 meters, where light diminishes significantly, limiting plant life. Deeper still is the bathypelagic zone or midnight zone, which spans from 1,000 to 4,000 meters. Below that, from 4,000 to 6,000 meters is the abyssopelagic zone, also called the abyss, which makes up the majority of the ocean floor and is devoid of any light. The deepest parts of the ocean are found in the hadal zone, also known as the trenches, which begins at 6,000 meters and can go as deep as 11,000 meters. Alongside these vertical zones are geological features: the continental shelf, followed by the continental slope, which leads into the continental rise, and then the ocean basin. These geological structures help shape the ocean's complex terrain and play a critical role in marine ecosystems.
Moving on, we will be focusing on India's significant contributions and commitments to United Nations peacekeeping. At the high-level UN Peacekeeping Ministerial Summit in Berlin, 74 UN member states came together, making a range of pledges aimed at strengthening peacekeeping operations. These commitments included airlift and rapid deployment capabilities, specialized training, technological enhancements, and advancing the Women, Peace and Security agenda. India, always a key player in UN peacekeeping, made substantial commitments at the summit. India pledged to contribute one Quick Reaction Force or QRF company, one women-led police unit, a SWAT police unit, along with providing peacekeeping training, capacity building, and fostering partnerships. The timing of this summit was symbolic, coinciding with the 10-year anniversary of the 2015 New York Summit on Peacekeeping. The discussions emphasized the modernization of peacekeeping operations, improving performance, ensuring rapid deployment, and reinforcing the concept of shared responsibility and stronger regional partnerships for more effective peacekeeping. Moving on to India's historic contributions to UN peacekeeping. India stands out as one of the largest troop contributing nations in UN missions. Over the years, more than 290,000 Indian peacekeepers have served across 50 UN missions. Currently, India is the fourth largest troop contributing country with 5,375 personnel actively serving, following Nepal, Rwanda, and Bangladesh. Our nation has played a pivotal role in landmark missions, including the Korean War, armistice, and peace operations in Cyprus and Congo. India has also set remarkable examples in empowering women in peacekeeping. In 2007, India became the first country to deploy an all-women formed police unit in Liberia, making a strong statement for gender inclusion. In recognition of our dedicated service, India received the UN's highest peacekeeping honor, the Dag Hammarskjöld Medal in 2023, posthumously awarded to Indian peacekeepers who sacrificed their lives. But what exactly is United Nations peacekeeping? Well, it all began in 1948 with the establishment of the United Nations Truce Supervision Organization, or UNTSO, in the Middle East. Since then, peacekeeping missions have been deployed by the UN Security Council to support ceasefires and peace agreements. These missions, famously known as Blue Helmets because of their iconic light blue headgear symbolizing peace, are guided by three core principles: consent of the parties, impartiality, and non-use of force except in self-defense and the defense of the mandate. So, as India continues to strengthen its role in UN peacekeeping, these recent commitments further solidify our nation's dedication to global peace and security.
Moving ahead, the recently published World Heart 2025 Obesity and Cardiovascular Disease Report by the World Heart Federation underscores the escalating global burden of obesity and highlights the limited access to effective obesity management, especially in India. Let's look at the observations. The report reveals that the number of adults living with obesity globally has increased sharply from 194 million in 1990 to 878 million in 2022, reflecting a fourfold rise driven by various factors since 1990. If current trends continue, nearly two-thirds of adults over the age of 25 could be overweight or obese by 2050. But how can obesity be defined? Obesity, as defined by the World Health Organization or WHO, refers to an abnormal or excessive fat accumulation that poses a health risk. It is typically measured using the body mass index or BMI, where a BMI of 25 or above indicates overweight and 30 or above is considered obese. BMI is calculated by dividing an individual's weight in kilograms by their height in meters squared. According to the National Family Health Survey or NFHS-5, 24% of Indian women and 23% of Indian men are classified as obese. The report also offers several key recommendations to address this growing crisis. At the system level, it suggests implementing policies such as regulating food marketing, taxing sugary drinks, and subsidizing healthier food alternatives. It also calls for an increased governmental focus on making obesity medications, particularly GLP-1RAs, more accessible and affordable. Alongside medication, the report advocates for lifestyle interventions and dietary modifications and emphasizes the need to integrate obesity-specific recommendations into cardiovascular disease guidelines. Now, several key factors are driving the rise of obesity in India. One major contributor is the increasing consumption of high-calorie, low-nutrient diets, which are rich in refined carbohydrates and saturated fats. This dietary trend is further compounded by easy access to processed foods, as packaged and ready-to-eat meals have become widely available and popular among consumers. The growing culture of eating out also plays a significant role, with people frequently dining at restaurants where food is often prepared using unhealthy oils. Another critical factor is the use of genetically modified crops, which can alter food composition and affect metabolism, thereby impacting weight gain. Furthermore, physical inactivity has become prevalent due to declining participation in sports, exercise, and other outdoor activities. Finally, the rise of sedentary lifestyles marked by prolonged sitting, excessive screen time, and minimal physical movement during daily routines has emerged as a significant cause of obesity. These interconnected factors collectively underscore the complex and multifaceted nature of the obesity epidemic in India.
Now, let's focus on a significant development in the tech world. Microsoft's recent decision to lay off around 6,000 employees, roughly 3% of its global workforce. Microsoft's announcement has created ripples across the industry, as the layoffs are expected to impact employees at all levels, teams, and geographies. The company has cited two primary reasons behind this decision: reducing unnecessary layers of management and leveraging the benefits of new technology, especially artificial intelligence or AI. Now, this brings us to a crucial question. How is AI poised to change the workplace structure? Traditionally, organizations have followed a pyramidal structure with a broad base of lower-level employees, a mid-sized managerial layer, and a narrow top leadership tier. This model is characterized by a clear chain of command, with layers of supervision and control. But as AI becomes more integrated, a shift towards an hourglass structure is becoming evident. In this setup, AI is gradually taking over coordination, management, and decision-making roles. We see a broader top layer of strategic leaders and knowledge workers, while the bottom diversifies into a mix of people and automated tools. And this shift has direct implications on the workforce. Starting from the lower layer, AI and robotic process automation or RPA can eliminate repetitive clerical and administrative tasks. At the middle layer, AI-based analytics and decision support systems reduce the need for multiple layers of middle management. For example, AI dashboards can directly present insights to top executives, bypassing several levels of reporting managers. At the top layer, there is an increased demand for AI specialists, data scientists, and strategic thinkers who can align AI capabilities with business goals. In conclusion, the transformation from a pyramidal to an hourglass structure reflects a broader shift in how organizations create value in the AI era. Efficiency now replaces supervision, insights replace oversight, and strategic agility takes precedence over traditional control mechanisms.
As we conclude today's main news, let's have a look at some quick updates. In exercise of powers under Foreign Trade Development and Regulation Act 1992, central government restricted import of ready-made garments from Bangladesh to India through land ports. Land port means an area on the international borders of India with facilities for clearance and transport of passengers and goods. The Global EV Outlook 2025 has been released by the International Energy Agency, according to which over 1 in 4 cars sold globally in 2024 was electric. China leads with nearly 50% of global EV car sales. Asia and Latin America, notably Thailand, Vietnam, and Brazil, are emerging as new EV growth hubs. Scientists have discovered a small three-eyed predator called Mosura fatoni, nicknamed as sea moth, which lived in the ocean about 506 million years ago. It belonged to an ancient group of sea creatures called radiodons, which are related to today's insects, spiders, and crabs. New Caledonia, a French Pacific territory under the 1998 Noumea Accord, faces renewed unrest after May 2024 riots over electoral roll changes and the collapse of political talks. Despite the rejection of independence in all three referendums, 2018, 2020, and 2021, pro-independence demands by indigenous Kanak people remain strong. California's Tulare Lake, which disappeared earlier, re-emerged after 130 years as a result of 2023's atmospheric rivers over California. Tulare Lake is located in San Joaquin Valley, California, USA. It was once the largest freshwater lake west of the Mississippi River. Researchers have predicted where DNA sequences might form alternative structures beyond the traditional double helix. These alternative conformations are known as non-bead DNA. It refers to any DNA structure that deviates from the standard right-handed double helix and includes structures such as cruciforms, slip structures, etc. US FDA approves Novavax's protein-based COVID vaccine called Nuvaxovid. Protein-based vaccines are a type of subunit vaccines that also includes polysaccharide vaccines and conjugate vaccines. They contain carefully identified protein fragments of a virus, chosen for their ability to stimulate your immune system. A new study reveals that Pseudomonas aeruginosa, a common hospital bacteria in India, can degrade medical-grade plastic materials used in sutures and implants. Scientists isolated the enzyme PAP1 from a strain of Pseudomonas aeruginosa, and the enzyme degraded 78% of a plastic sample in just 7 days. Many traditional folk art forms like Tolu Bommalata, Jamukulapata, and Tapeta Gulu are vanishing due to loss of patronage. Tolu Bommalata is a 3rd century shadow puppetry art, depicting Hindu epics through music, storytelling, and acrobatics by wandering performers. Before we sign off, let's challenge your understanding in today's installment of Test Your Learning. Thank you for joining us. We hope you found this episode of News Today engaging. For the solutions to the quiz and to access the PDF version of News Today, remember to visit the provided links in the description.